It's time for doing market updates in San Diego, or it's not. Hello, everybody. It's Roxanne Govari with Pemberley Realty, along with my partner, Santiago Guerin.
Hello, everyone. Gonna have an interesting topic today. Let's get right to it.
All right, so we thought that we were going to bring you the market update for San Diego for the month of January, but unfortunately, we were getting ahead of ourselves, and so instead, we are going to go over some economic outlook because market updates are not actually coming available until the 10th of the month. So we're a little bit early with that. So, but we
That's
still
okay.
have,
We can give them some other good pointers out today, and we got some pretty good slides. So
there you go. Exactly. So I am going to share some slides from Intercap Lending, which is one of the lender partners that we work with. And so I'm going to share those slides, and we'll interpret and see how we can make heads or tails out of what is going on in our real estate market.
let's get
Okay.
to it. Yep.
So let's go ahead and share the screen and show you some of these economic outlooks for February 2026. And as you can see, these slides are from Josh Romney, who's the Intercap lending owner, and it's very interesting because the week before, well, 2 weeks before, I was at another real estate conference, and the owner of Keeping Current Matters was sharing his information about the economic outlook, and as we go through these slides, you can see that the outlook of both are very, very similar. So Josh started with basically a lot of political headlines that are out there, and see how they look into what's going on, primarily about the government buying some of the mortgage bonds and how that would affect the market. Now, I'd be very, very honest with you. That stuff is so very complicated that I don't want to pretend like I understand what that exactly means and how it affects the market.
Yeah.
But from what I gather, the more the government buys the mortgage bonds, the more it will be able to manipulate the interest rates and possibly bring interest rates down. So that's the way that I'm understanding what it means for the government to buy mortgage bonds.
Hmm.
So please, we welcome the comments. If your outlook is different, or if you understand this to be different, we would love to hear from you and see what your take is on it.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, and the other headlines that you can see, of course, capping interest rates on credit cards, or pumping Venezuelan oil into the economy, talking about 50-year mortgages versus 30-year mortgages. These were all things that have been talked about the past, I don't know, however many months. And but let's keep moving forward because they're not directly affecting our real estate market. Maybe a 50-year mortgage would, if it became a thing. But the biggest pushback about a 50-year mortgage is that you might as well at that point become a renter, because the benefits are so long term that you don't
Yeah.
actually realize it in one generation, which defeats the purpose of home ownership.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody's talking about the Fed and who's going to be taking over. That we actually did hear there was an announcement that Kevin Warsh is taking over the helm as far as the Fed chairmanship goes. I am not very familiar with Kevin. I am surprised to see how young he is, if this is a recent picture. But supposedly he knows what he's talking about, and he's been around and in one capacity or other involved with the Fed. We know that that the Fed also affects our industry tremendously, even though it's not directly. So the way that I understand it, and again, I don't pretend to understand much about the overall economic outlook of what happens, but the Fed does not look at housing and does not consider housing as a measure of inflation. But at the same time, Fed manipulating interest rates does affect the housing because our industry is very, very sensitive to interest rates. So they're not directly related to each other. They're indirectly related to each other, but
it affects it basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, keep moving forward. So, again, at the Fed, there are two things that the Fed care about: the core inflation and unemployment, and that means that the housing is not something that they concentrate on.
Mhm.
So they don't necessarily concentrate on us, but we do concentrate on them because what they do with manipulating interest rates does affect us. Okay, and then let's look at this. So GDP is it's the outlook that we actually put out, and again, how to interpret it. My guess is just as good as yours. What I can say about the GDP is it looks like it hasn't changed much if you're looking at 2025 versus 2024 to 2023.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving forward and see how and where things come in terms of how this affects real estate.
Yeah.
Okay, so CPI holds steady in December. So CPI is also a measure of inflation. And so if CPI holds steady, that means that that inflation is not raging. And you can see this is 2025, 2024, 2023, 2022. So right between 2022 and 2023 is when we were seeing the inflation basically be at a high level. So we're definitely moving in the right direction, meaning that inflation is becoming more controlled. And ideally, we want inflation to be below 2%. We're still above that by 2.6, which is not as good as we want it to be. But hey, it's better than 6%, which is where we had in between 2022 and 2023. And we all felt that, and we definitely want to get into a better situation as far as inflation goes.
Definitely. I mean, and now we're looking like it's looking better now, and it's working on like you said, on the right direction. So
exactly. So as long as we can keep wages, slowly going up and inflation slowly coming down, that is the best case scenario where everyone wins.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, very good. So retail prices. Retail prices, if you are looking at where, let me see if I find where things are with these two. So U.S. retail prices for imported and domestic goods. This is looking at 2025. And so essentially what we're seeing is that the projection is those prices are supposed to be going up. Mm,
Yeah.
so last updated October of 2025, and basically looking at what the tariffs are doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at the impact of tariffs. How did the tariffs actually affect prices? So this is basically a slide from Goldman Sachs, and so the forecast and the estimates. So it looks like the actual was actually versus the estimate. I would say tariffs have had an effect in
Hmm.
terms of prices rising, right?
Definitely.
But I'm not sure exactly how much. I guess I am not exactly sure how the tariffs work
Hmm.
or what they're actually placed on.
Yeah.
Uh, but if I'm looking at the day-to-day life of each one of us,
Yeah.
everything I touch feels like it's being made in China. And if that's the case, then everything is going to get more expensive because something that's coming from China is going to be affected by tariffs. So that's the way that I'm looking at how you would interpret tariffs into day-to-day life of each one of us consumers.
Yep.
Okay, and so price changes from January of 2000 to December 2005 for selected consumer services and wages. So this is actually very, very interesting. This is something that we definitely want to pay attention to,
Yeah.
right? So things that have gone out of control and basically gone up dramatically. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so that we can see the whole slide better. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
Okay,
Impressive.
and this is very interesting because see, in the year 2000, everything was kind of level, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And then from there, you can see how things have just gone out of control, where TVs, toys, computer software, cell phone services, clothing, new cars, household furnishings and operations, they have not gone up by much,
Yeah.
but look at the ones that have gone out of control. Foods and services, housing, hourly wages, medical care services, nursing schools, and child care, college textbooks. My goodness,
Yeah.
college tuition and fees. That is insane.
Yeah. Hmm. And I feel like these very top ones are one of the most essential things that you need. Most people
Exactly.
are actually spending money on.
Right, exactly, exactly. Look at hospital services.
Yeah.
They have gone up by 281%.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. Well, now this is the good news, right? This is the good news. Wages have definitely outpaced inflation, which is a good thing. So if you look at where they were in 2020 versus 2025, wages have gone up by a lot.
Hmm.
Um, Wages have gone up by a lot, but that does not mean that things are more affordable than they were in the year 2000. So
Yeah.
that is the challenge that we're all facing.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's see, jobs report. So jobs report, if we're basically looking to see whether or not we're losing jobs, and it does look like towards the end of 2025, we are seeing job declines. And it remains to be seen how 2026 plays out. But I also want to point out that that this is pretty much, let me see, when did we actually get with AI and ChatGPT?
I would say probably like the last like year and a half. I would say.
So
Probably,
somewhere,
I would say probably like 2 years. It's been
so
growing.
right around
Three.
2024, I would say, right? Or
I would say from
2023.
probably from like 23 was when it, I mean, it wasn't implemented as much, but I would
Mhm.
say there was already some growth in some softwares like in 23.
So what we see here in terms of job declines may or may not be AI related. Hard to
Hmm.
say,
Yeah.
but I guess time will tell. Within this year, we'll find out more
Yeah.
in terms of what's going on. But definitely, it looks like job growth is declining. Okay, and okay, so this is interesting because here it looks like job growth is declining, but in terms of jobless claims, I guess you had a spike in October of 2025, and but and maybe this is because of the holidays because it's right around
Yeah.
December.
Hmm.
But it looks like people are going back to work. So I don't see this as anything alarming in terms of job losses or job gains.
Hmm.
Okay. And again, unemployment rate, again, I would say you don't, this is not looking alarming. It's looking like normal of what you normally see. Okay. US consumer confidence hitting low. Now you can talk about why is consumer confidence low, and I would say a lot of that has to do with the word of the day, and the word of the day is affordability.
Yeah.
There is, yes, wages have grown, but affordability has not improved because, going back to this slide,
Yeah.
this is what everybody's grappling with, and
Yeah.
then that is what is basically feeding into consumer confidence.
Hmm. Yep.
Consumer spending is vital to GDP growth, which is true. We're all basically tied to consumer spending, and as you can see, it's 70% of the GDP. So we definitely want the consumers to feel comfortable and to believe in the economy and to keep going. Now, this is very interesting. Top 10% of earners spending 50% of all spending.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so the more affluent are carrying, I guess you can't really say they're carrying the economy, but they do have a lot of weight on the economy. So we want to pay attention to what they do and how they're spending their money, and we also want to pay attention that that the economy is servicing them because they're feeding the economy.
Yeah.
And the K-shaped economy, this is where our problem lies right now. So this is basically looking at the 1990s to 1995 to year 2000, all the way to 2025. The and 90s, I know you weren't around in the 90s, but I was. And 90s were great years. And I think the reason why the 90s were great years is right here. Okay? Where the gap between the bottom 80% and the top 20% of wage earners was not so wide. In other
Mhm.
words, you had more of a middle class. You didn't have such wild swings between the rich people and the poor
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And that is what we see. And right now, as of 2025, it is the worst that we've ever had.
Yeah. And
Um,
it's looking like it's still growing even. It's farther more apart.
exactly.
Keeps
And that
trending
is
that
not sustainable.
way.
That is not sustainable. And I know both of us have a lot of affinity for Germany
Yeah.
and for the way of life in Germany, right?
Yeah.
Um, this is one of the things that I admire about the German life, where when you're actually amongst the people, you see more of what's going on here on this chart within the 1990s, where where most of the people are living a moderate kind of life. You don't see extreme wealth. You
Mm.
don't see extreme poverty, and unfortunately, in the U.S., we've lost that way of life, and
Mm.
we have created this extreme between the two tops, and that is what creates all of this uncertainty, a lot of this anxiety, and also a lot of trouble in terms of covering costs,
Mhm.
because there's such a gap between the top 20 percent and the bottom 80%.
Yeah.
So the
That,
more that we can get this closer to the middle and get basically the gap between the rich and the poor to come together, the better life for everybody within the country.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop this here because, as you can see, there's a lot of slides to go through and a lot of information to absorb. Um, but we're almost out of time, so I'm gonna stop it here and say we can continue with this talk at another time. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I mean, I really like the slides. I mean, and then if anybody that's watching wants to get to see these, they can always reach out to us. We would love to
Absolutely,
provide these
and
for
we're
them.
happy to share.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. This one is a good slide. I don't mind sharing this, but this is also talking about what we're spending our money, and our what the U.S. budget is being spent on. So it's interesting to see how the money is being spent. And of course, we're not economists. We're into selling homes, but let's watch those um, politicians and see how they resolve things. One thing that I would say comes to my attention, and I think that we need to hopefully see, is politicians. We elect our politicians to go fix things, not to go and turn this into a into basically a ball of fighting amongst each other and not accomplishing anything for the people. So let's hope that we see a lot more harmony out of our politicians to actually be able to solve some problems for their constituents, rather than only focus on themselves and focus on getting themselves elected, and actually do something about what we, the consumers, care about, which is close this gap over here.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, all right, very good. Well, then we'll leave it there, and let's talk about how people can benefit by reaching out to us. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We love to have you amongst us. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so that we can bring you more of these educational videos. And if you are thinking of buying or selling in the US, anywhere in the US, I am happy to help. And if you want to reach out to my partner, Santi, there's his number. And that's right. Pick up the phone and call. Or if you are watching us on Instagram, give us a follow there. Or if you're watching us on Facebook, you can also give us a follow there. And you can also reach us on our website, pemberleyrealty.com. We are here and would love to be your go-to realtors and be a resource for you. So thank you so much for watching today, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.